Sounds good. Hope everybody's ready for some productivity hacks when it comes to digital learning. And I'm excited to share some fun hopefully today.
Amazing. Well, welcome everybody. My name is Monica Rojas. I am the membership and inclusion specialist for Tech Hub South Florida. So I really work on, community building, hearing how I can support you guys, connect you guys, and even just help with education as well. But anyways, for those of you guys who don't know about Tech Hub, we are a nonprofit that's membership driven with the goal to build South Florida's tech hub and we focus on 4 of our main pillars: talent, community, branding, and our 4th pillar we added this year, startups. So we're really focusing on connecting all the dots of our ecosystem across South Florida, not just in one county. So if any of you guys have any ideas or feedback for us, please reach out to me. I'll drop my email in the chat. And for those of you guys listening in, my email is monica@techhubsouthflorida.org. Super easy. But anyways, enough about Tech Hub. We're super excited to have WGU. They have an awesome program that's national, or it might even be global. I'm not too sure. But Tully, I'm going to hand it over to you. And thank you for being here. And thank you all for tuning in on Friday.
Yeah, happy Friday, everybody. And I'll get started by sharing my screen. We are going to jump into some fun today, I hope. If you don't know about WGU or what we are in our programs, I'm going to share a little bit of information about that just to, of course, explain why am I qualified to share productivity hacks for digital learning with you, and why is that so important right now. We're going to talk a little bit about whether that's yourself in an online learning environment. There's a lot of working adults that are new to going back to school online to get their degree with this time that we have in our hands. There's a lot of people that find themselves in a world now where maybe they're working from home and they're not used to that kind of free space. And a lot more that are doing all at the same time. I know myself included, where my kids were at home doing an e-learning environment. And so we're going to talk about all those different people that are affected in situations and scenarios. But I've always learned that when you start a presentation and you're talking to a group of strangers that don't know who you are, you're supposed to begin with a bang. So I do that by quoting Bruce Willis from Die Hard. So the world is changing. Obviously, everyone is new to, in some way or form, we've been impacted. I always like the fact that WGU is ahead of the curve on this, and we've been doing an online learning environment for 20 plus years now. And it's been interesting to watch so many other universities kind of make that scramble to join us. So welcome to the party. Working at WGU can tell you a little bit about like who we are and why I'm qualified to talk to you about productivity and some tips and tricks. I actually have a top 10 countdown list that I promised to share with you. We call that a tease, so that you hang around on your Friday and watch all the way to the end. So I've got some great tips and tricks that I know you guys can take away and put to use right away. So it come from Western Governors University. We've been around since 1997. We were created by a group of 19 US governors as an answer to the increased need for education for working adults who are busy in their schedules and maybe don't have time to go back to traditional in-person setting. So we have 4 different colleges at WGU. We have a College of Business, College of Technology, we have a Teachers College, and the College of Health Professions, where I work. I know one of my colleagues, Jessica Joseph, who's very familiar with Nikki and Monica and the Tech Hub group, just hopped on. So she's here in Florida as well, and she works with the Teachers College and has amazing contacts throughout not just Florida, but the Southeast region there. And I work primarily with our healthcare professionals and partners out there. There are a lot of different people in different walks of life that come to WGU, but our traditional age right now is over the age of 35, which tells you our students are working adults looking for a way to come back and learn. So we have tips and tricks that we help them to be more successful that we're going to share with you here today. We work in an online environment. Our students do something that's called competency-based learning, and I'm going to tell you a little bit more about that. More about WGU to come later too, about our model, how we are regionally accredited and nonprofit, which means we have a lot of these tips that'll help you along the way. I will tell you from personal experience, one of the biggest pitfalls for students who are in an online learning environment when they come to me, when I was working with them as a mentor, is all the distractions that are out there. So Tell me if you can relate to any of these, the pitfalls of either working from home or even studying from home, right? So that dog on the left, I'm sure that was a very natural pose for him. Sorry, I can't go out tonight. I've got so much to do. And then you end up taking a quiz about what kind of pizza I am. This is called the internet black hole. And if you can relate to any of these feelings of that procrastination, I promise you, you're not the only one. I'm going to use a guest speaker of my own, and we're going to actually go using the magic of technology here to see one of my favorite speakers of all time deliver about 4.5 minutes of the funniest talk you're going to hear all day about the procrastination habits of a lot of people. So take a listen to this. It's short and sweet, so you don't have to walk away, and promise you he's a better speaker than I am. So tell me if you can relate to these pitfalls of working from home and procrastination, and then I'm going to give you the tips how we avoid that. And you can see there we'll stop before 4:58 mark.
Hey, Tully, we can't hear it. I think it's because it's on the presentation mode.
That was my fear. So if you and that's what I was going to do, a housekeeping bit. I was like, you know what, we're going to throw that out there and make sure and assume the best and make sure that it works, since we didn't have a chance or time to actually test it out. So you can't hear it at all, is that correct? And I know we can't hear you, Monica, because poor thing. I know Monica's fighting. She's trying to fight through and power through with her voice too, but you cannot hear it. Is that right, Monica?
We cannot hear it.
Yeah, sorry.
Thanks, Becky. Okay. Well, you get to miss out on what I said is the funniest thing, but I'll include this link in our chat later. I will paraphrase the best of my ability since I'm not as talented as Dr. Urban.
Oh, I wanted to know about the procrastination monkey.
It is so funny, Becky. So I promise you, I'm going to send it and I'll put it in the chat. And all you need to do is listen to the first 5 minutes. But he in my version of a paraphrase, breaks down the pitfalls that I have fallen into my whole career, and a lot of people who are in this free work from home environment fall into, which is, hey, I have a plan in place and I'm going to study week 1 and then I'll have this prepared by week 2, and you're going to spread out the workload. But in reality, it ends up being like, okay, well, all that work that's spread out goes to week 4, and then it goes to the last day, and then it goes to the last hour. And he has some really funny examples of that. So I'll share that in the chat with you guys. That was designed to be a chance to hear from somebody better than me about painting a funny picture for you. So the point is, if you have those issues with procrastination, with distractions, you are not alone, I promise you. And there are a lot of students that I've worked with over the course of the last 5 years at WGU who have the same issues. So what are the solutions? The top 10 countdown of productivity hacks are as follows. Number 10, I'm going to begin, is lock down your home screen. If you're like most people, when you log onto your computer, you you have good intentions. You plan to do this work, whether it's work for your job, your career at home, whether it's work to get something done productivity wise, or in the case of a lot of our students, you log on to go do your homework. Well, we live in a world full of social media distractions, sports scores. You get sucked into, as the speaker that I'll share with you guys talks about, a black hole where you decide to go start at the bottom of Google Earth on India and slowly work your way up over the course of hours. Instead, you find yourself a couple hours later going, what did I do on my computer time today? Avoid the distracting black hole. I have the best students I ever worked with told me that what they'll do is set their home screen as soon as they open their computer. The landing page is their school page. So as soon as they log in, they're not sucked into that black hole. They're not looking at social media distractions. You can set those things. There's notification settings on your phone. Turn them off on your computer. Turn off those little red circles, those little red alerts. Those notifications will still be there when you look at the end of the day. And I've got another tip about using that as reward time later on. So number 1, or in this case, the number 10 on the list, lock down your home screen, set it to whatever you need to do, and avoid those distractions when you get on your computer. Number 9, Do not disturb. There is something that we include with our students. It's an actual like welcome package, and it includes an actual sign that you can hang up when it's time to do schoolwork. You need to communicate that to your family, create a schedule and stick to it. And you can hang that schedule in front of your computer. You can hang it up on the fridge. You can hang it up in your family room, where it's not just for you, but it's for your whole family to respect that time. You need to create clear boundaries. Working from home doesn't mean that you're not working. And I am speaking to you firsthand. As soon as my kids get home at 3 p.m. from school, it's always a distraction. And they've learned, because I had to create those clear boundaries. Hey, just because you see that doesn't mean that I'm not at work. I may be on an important call, or I may be doing something that you might be not used to seeing, because I used to be, at a campus somewhere in a meeting face to face. But as we all get used to working from home, you've got to create those clear boundaries, and that allows you to be more productive. I will tell you firsthand, with firsthand experience, your family will thank you for creating this, and you'll create a more peaceful environment when there are those clearly defined boundaries. When they all get blurred, not only can that be stressful and difficult for you as a worker, but that can be difficult for your children. If you have children at home, for spouses, it's always easier when you have that clear definition. So create that schedule, stick to the schedule, and communicate that schedule with people who might love you, and they love you so much that they might be distracting because they want to be around you at times. Number 8, I wish I had a drum roll. Next time, Becky, you seem so helpful. Monica, since her voice is gone, I'm just gonna like mail you guys drums, and you can be ready for the countdown effect. So number 8 on our list is create a sacred space. Create consistent work area. What happens, and this is there's proven research that shows your body will respond to habitual activities in an environment. In other words, if you're used to, at the end of a long work day, you settle in, let's just say in your living room, or your den. This is a place where I kind of veg out. My body relaxes. I watch TV. I do whatever. I read here. This is where I go to relax and kind of unwind for the day. If suddenly you're in this new environment and you try and create a place of productivity and work in that same environment, you're setting yourself up for failure, and you don't even realize why. I'll have students who go, man, I sit down and I open up my computer, and then I feel like I'm on it, but I just don't get any productivity done. You find yourself reading the same sentence 10 different times. At that point, it's time to shut down, move. This is a great tip, is to create that study space or that workspace and stick to that and make that a consistent place where you go do work. That's true for a lot of other types of research too, by the way. I know there's a lot of research out there about home gyms. Home gyms can be very productive if you set it up like as its own workspace. But when you're expected to say, go drag the yoga mat out or drag some weights out and then set it up in your living room, you're far less likely to do it, because it creates a mess. It creates just your body is resistant to this change in the environment. So be cognizant of that. Create a sacred space where this is where I go and I do my work. And then it's also good to create that space where where you go and you relax, and you don't need to merge the two. All right, number 7, treat yourself. Of course, I didn't say it right. It's treat yourself when you're quoting Parks and Rec, but I love the memes that you can find about that too. There's a lot to choose from. I will tell you firsthand, students that I've worked with over the years who create a reward system for their accomplishments find that extra motivation to get something done in a timely manner. Now, here's what I will tell you about the reward system. You do not need to only save it for, hey, when I graduate, I'm going to go take that big trip. Or, hey, when I get that promotion at work, I'm going to go, finally go buy that new house or the new big item. You can reward yourself with small daily rewards. You can reward yourself by going, all right, what I talked about earlier with tip number 10, I'm not allowed to check any, whatever it is you look at for fun. I'm big into baseball and sports. And so I'll go check my fancy football team or fancy baseball or something. And that becomes a part of my day. It builds a routine around, okay, well, let me check that first and then I go do work. But I'm telling you, you'll be far more productive if you can build those little rewards into your day. So maybe it's, okay, I'm going to study for an hour, or I'm going to go do this work and I'm going to get this accomplished today, if you create a list, I know there's a lot of list makers out there and I didn't even want to go down that road. But if you are a list maker, once I check off these first 2 items, then build that in, budget into your schedule, where then you're allowed to go, whatever it is, go take a morning walk or go, check those things that maybe could be considered distractions. When you build them into your day and you budget for them as rewards, you will find yourself checking off those productivity pieces on your list far more quickly, and you won't feel yourself being drained. Your body's not tired by the end of the day because you've done nothing but work, work, work. You know the old saying, work hard, play hard. You can do both at the same time, and it's actually better. So don't forget to build in those small daily rewards. I had a student who, she was super into the shopping, and she said, I talked to my husband about this. We created like a reward system every week. So every weekend, if I can complete 1 class, I'm allowed to go out and I have this budgeted into my shopping, treat that I get to do. And she found that actually helped her with her budget too, because now she's setting up a budget, and it wasn't just a impromptu buy, but it was something that she earned. And there were weeks where she's like, Tully, this is horrible. I didn't get to go shopping. I didn't reach my goals. And I'd say, all right, well, what's our goals now? Let's get back on track. So reward yourself, give yourself a treat for reaching those goals. All right, speaking of goals, did you know that you're far more likely to reach a goal when you have a visual element involved? There's a reason that corporations and fundraisers and nonprofits have those trackers, right? Whether it's the thermometer, you've all seen that visual image, the thermometer where they're counting it up, or even better, they're counting it down. It's proven that when you see how many are remaining tasks to reach a goal, you're far more likely to complete that task. So create a visual aid and keep it in front of you. Examples would be, I've had students that I've worked with, I've had employees that were on my team that have had those, they're crafty, I guess, more crafty than me, but they create those rings, right? The paper rings, and they'll show me a picture. It's hanging in their office. They'll have those circle rings and they go, hey, I've got 18 more to go, 18 classes. And every time I get one, I cut another one off, and it's like your own reward celebration, your ceremony. This is another ring gone. Well, when you can count, now there's 17 left. Now there's 16. And you can see it getting smaller. You can share that with other people who might be able to come see what you've created. It doesn't have to be that complicated. I've used the example of like the Advent calendar. If you've got it on your calendar in front of you, where you can create a countdown list, every chance you get to count something down, remove it. You could easily work this into your reward system as well. Every time I take off a ring, I go get this reward. So create a visual image, hang it up, reward yourself, applaud yourself, and track the productivity. This leads perfectly into our tip number 5, or our hack, if you will, for success. You've got to have accountability. All these tools we talked about, creating a calendar, creating a countdown tracker, creating a reward system, those work so much more effectively if you have someone to share that with. Find someone or find multiple people in your life that will hold you accountable. I always love that saying that iron sharpens iron, one man sharpens another. You will find when you create an accountability partner, you can help them as much as they can help you. And you're a lot of times a better person for it, not just for asking someone to always help you, but if you can help them in return, you'll rise up to try and be the accountability partner that they can rely on. And in doing so, you find yourself being more productive and more successful. So I put that quote in there. You know who the best accountability partners are, from my experience? Kids. Mom, aren't you supposed to be working right now? What are we doing? If it's your spouse, it gets to be a little nagging. Like, no, I'm good. I don't need you to tell me to get off, stop doing this fun thing I'm doing because you want me to go do work. But the kids, they will get you a little bit. And so that's always another example of you being accountable to them. But if you do that, obviously they know they're accountable to you. So also there's that accountability side, right? So I think about this kind of the firm coach, or the military leader who's yelling in your ear, aren't you supposed to be doing this? Aren't you supposed to be doing that? Get it done. Come on, you can do this. Get it moving. Well, you also need a positive voice in your ear. So get yourself a cheerleader. Can your accountability partner be your cheerleader? Yes, I think they can, but you need that positive reinforcement just as much, or maybe even more so than that stick, right? You need the carrot. I can tell you, I worked as a mentor at WGU for 4.5 years before stepping into my current role. And I've never actually dressed up as Will Ferrell from the Saturday Night Live skit, but I have taken on that same approach where I don't care if you're at a chess match, I'm going to be your cheerleader. I'm there singing for you. It can be the smallest little victories. Doesn't need to be, if I'm sticking with the cheerleader analogy, it doesn't need to be the Super Bowl. It can be, hey, you did it. You did this little task today. I'm very proud of you. Find someone that you can share your goals with and someone that's going to celebrate your success with. And those positive cheerleaders in your background go a long way. So speaking of, you've got your accountability partner now, you've got your cheerleader. Those are people that you need to share your why with. How do you define your why? Okay, so you need to ask yourself before you take on a big goal, why am I doing this? Why am I here? If that's going back to school, it's not easy. If it was easy, everyone would do it. If it's taking on trying to go after a promotion at work or taking on an extra work that's you're not getting paid for, you can do the minimum, but you're going above and beyond. Why are you doing that? And you should actually ask yourself that question. It's not just like, well, it's the right thing to do. It's, if I do this, I'm going to have this opportunity or this reward waiting for me. If it leads to this promotion, it's going to take this work to get there. If it was important to you at the beginning of this task that you're working on, it's probably still going to be important to you at the end. Now, there's situations in life where life circumstances change, but most of the time, if you get to a spot where you come to a stopping point in your goal or your productivity, what you're working on, the best thing you can do to get started again is to ask yourself, did the situation change or did it just get hard and I'm quitting? Have I changed? And, write it down. I will tell you the same thing we talked about earlier about how much more productive people are and more likely to reach goals when they have it visually in front of them. If you stop and write a goal down physically, grab a pen, grab a paper, write it down, hang it up, write down your why. It's more of a tangible impact, and it makes it more real. So you can continue in your own words to remind yourself why. And believe me, this applies to a lot of things in life. It could be a health goal, right? I've been trying to lose weight for 5 years now. Every year I start this new resolution, and then I just the motivation didn't, or the reason didn't change, the why didn't change, but my motivation changed. And so you need to have that powerful reminder of why you got started. Share it with your cheerleader. They'll help you. So here's a cool, very practical trick that I've learned. I'm sure a lot of people on here have learned the same. Don't always wait for a free moment. Those free moments are not, they get taken up really quickly as we all balance these busy lives that we're in now and the world that we work in. Instead, create your moment. Create your opportunity to study, create your opportunity to work on a task. Did you know that Google, any Chrome book or Chrome website that you use, you can just click on the little small buttons and there's a feature on there that you can have the audio or an audio voice read all the text that's on the current page to you. There's a lot of other technologies, whether it comes to school. I know for me, for work at Western Governors University, there's all sorts of different things that I can listen to. And you can, instead of waiting for an hour that's free where I can go and listen to this, can you listen to it on your commute time? Can you get some ear pods and when you're at the gym, listen to it? Can you do it when you're, hey, I don't have time to study tonight, Tully. I've got a big dinner planned and I got to clean the house because we're having company. Okay, well, if that's 3 hours of your time, can you listen to something while you do that? Those are little, very practical tricks that I have found a lot of my students who are very successful, they never stop studying. They just find times to study when everyone else says, I'm too busy. They say, well, I can't do that, but I could do this instead. So that's something to look into. We are there, folks. The #1 productivity hack is in front of us. So this is something I'm going to teach you. It's one of my favorite hacks. For over 5 years of working with students and at WGU, 15 years working in post-secondary ed, I have found this to be the #1 trick that helps people. Drum roll. Is the Pomodoro. Thank you so much, Becky. You rock. The Pomodoro technique. If you've never heard of this, it's a very practical, very important technique to do right. So let me explain what it is. And this is our #1 hack. So let me teach it to you. So the Pomodoro technique is, and actually I have a visual aid that's going to show it a little bit better, but it was created to take people who have very, very busy schedules, who can't find 2 hours of uninterrupted time to get a task done. What instead it asks you to do is take 20 minutes, 25 minutes of your day and break up your day into short methods, short timings throughout the day. So here's how it works. You set a Pomodoro timer. I don't know if anyone else actually has the old Pomodoro tomato timer in their kitchen. Everyone, I promise you though, has one of these, right? Your phone has a timer on it. So set it to 25 minutes. If it's in the morning, that could be your first study session. It could be your first work session. Set it for 25 minutes. You do all the work that you're supposed to do in that time, and then you pause. As soon as that timer goes off, you take a break. Respect the break, because it doesn't work if you just go, oh, I'm going to start and then not do anything, or not step away from it. When you do it again, block off that time. You can find 20 minutes during your day for lunchtime. I promise you can. Set it again for 20 minutes in your lunch break. When you get home in the afternoon, set it again, another 20-minute timer. And then before you go to bed at night, set it for 25 minutes. You've taken 2 hours of study time, and you were so busy you didn't have any time to study today, or do this work assignment, or have your kids do this. And what instead you've now done is you found 2 hours of your day to work on this assignment that you didn't have time to do. I will tell you the sneaky part about this method is that the hardest step to take is the first one. So once you start that 20 minutes, you start being productive, and you're getting a groove, and all of a sudden you didn't have enough time to get this done. Well, now you look up and you try and get squeeze 10 extra minutes into the day, or you squeeze a full hour into it. But if you tell yourself ahead of time, I'm only going to do this for 20, 25 minutes, you'll be more likely to actually get started. And then that's the most difficult part. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is your top 10 productivity hacks for the day. Where did I learn all this? Am I just like, am I Googling these? Have I just pulled these out of my creative mind? No, I've worked with students my entire career, and I've worked in the role of a mentor at WGU. So what by definition is a mentor? If you ask the dictionary and look it up, it tells you a mentor is an experienced and trusted advisor. Mentors, we have found, are important in any walk of life. You should all have a mentor, whether it's at work, just in your personal life, or your church, at your your gym. Mentors are a big part of helping people with all the roles I talked about before, that accountability, the cheerleading. So at WGU, our model actually uses a mentor. We use a mentor one-on-one with each student. So if you want more information about WGU, I'm going to give you kind of a quick blurb about what we are, since we are talking about higher ed this week. WGU has a really unique model where every student is assigned a one-on-one mentor to help them with their goals that we talked about. They help set up a schedule that helps them reach their goals. We have found that it's far more likely that a student is going to reach out and say, hey, I need help, when there's a personal relationship there, versus say calling some stranger on an 800 number to ask for help or explain their situation. This is designed to create a relationship. In the relationship creating business, we find that works in school as well as anything else. I will tell you a quick story because I think it's better than just talking about it on a PowerPoint. But I worked with hundreds of students over the course of the last 4.5 years at WGU. I had one of my favorite students of all time. She was just a rock star. She came in the first few courses and was flying through the coursework. She was acing it. She was on our calls every week talking to me, and she did great. And she shared with me her why. Her why for going to go back to get her degree. She was very successful in her career, but she made some life choices earlier in her life that never allowed her to go and pursue her degree, even though it was really, really important to her father. Her dad was he had a doctoral degree. He was a leadership position at a prestigious university in their hometown. And it was something that she always knew was really important to him. So she's like, I'm doing this for him. I want to show him, that I really appreciate that he always thought I should do this. Even though I'm in this management role at work, I'm going to go back and get the degree. Well, she rocked and rolled for a whole year. She got into her second year and she started slacking a little bit. And then she stopped answering my calls, and then she stopped responding to emails, and then she stopped logging in to her schoolwork. And I thought, what's going on? Is she okay? And because I had that personal relationship, I wasn't nagging her. I also wasn't just writing her off or failing her from her class because she wasn't staying productive, but I was allowed, because of that trust built up over, a year and a half of working together, to reach out, send her a text message, and she responded and shared with me that her father, who was her why for starting school, was really, really sick, and he was in the hospital, and he was fighting for his life during the COVID crisis. Well, a few weeks actually turned into a few months, and we talked, a lot less frequently. We talked a lot less about school, but we talked about how I can help support her and what she needs. And unfortunately, the story does not end with a happy ending. She lost her father. He lost his battle with the COVID pandemic situation and some of the health issues he had. Well, she was able to come back to school with a new motivation after a few months, and her motivation then became, I'm dedicating this degree to my father. And she shared with me when she graduated a few months later that she never would have stayed with it if she didn't have somebody who she was working with on a one-on-one basis, that knew what she was going through and knew she wasn't just some slacker student, but she had really, really important life stuff going on in her life. And so that's why the mentor model, in a quick anecdote, is effective. That's why we believe in our students who are mostly adults. We have over 130,000 students, and there's a lot of those same students out there that have the same issues going on in their life, whether it's issues at home, issues with their own health, with family. And so the mentor model really works. We have found that at WGU, a competency-based model is more productive and more efficient for students who are industry experts already. If you've been in school for their past, and now they've gone off to their career, they now have learned in the real world a lot of life skills that help them apply that to a school environment. So rather than having to go spend months listening to a lecture about a subject they already are experts on, they can go prove that they're experts, take the test that says, hey, I know all what we're talking about. And once they pass that test, they can move on to the next course. That's especially important at WGU because when, and I'm going to skip this example because I brought it to life for you, because when students come to WGU and go through those courses really quickly, they now have an opportunity to go through at a lower cost because we charge tuition by time that it takes to complete the degree, not by course. And so since there's no course list that we're charging for, that's why we've been named by Fast Company as one of the world's 50 most innovative companies. This model has helped hundreds of thousands of students at this point reach their degree. And the other key value that I want to focus on is they're graduating at a quicker pace. They do it in their own pace that works for them in their busy adult, working environment. And it's a regionally accredited, more prestigious degree that they leave here with. So we are regionally accredited, which is the highest form of accreditation. And the best thing of all is that means they can graduate with a reputable degree on a schedule that works for them at far less cost than it would work at a traditional university. So our costs, I'm proud to say, my graduates mostly graduated debt-free. It's as affordable or more affordable than a lot of the community college environments, but it's at a nationally recognized university. So I want to end by just sharing with you guys a little bit about scholarships. Last year alone, WGU gave out over $20 million worth of scholarships. Myself, in my role now as a strategic partnerships manager, and my colleague Jessica, I know, who was on earlier, that's our job. We want to go out and identify. It's one of my favorite parts of my job, I should say. I go identify students who might be in need, have a financial need, and I can help those students apply for a lot of the scholarships that we have available. We have partners in our community that we make those relationships with, where they can offer scholarships and discounts in their tuition to their employees. And if you have questions about that, if you want to learn more about that for yourself as an individual or for your company, you can talk to me anytime. I've got all the information to set you up. So I'll have my contact information in the chat when this is over. And I don't know if Monica sends that out. I think I saw it even on LinkedIn. A lot of the profile posters and stuff I saw promoting this event had my contact information, but I don't have to wait for you to email me or text me or call me or connect on LinkedIn for questions. If you're here now and you do have questions, we have time now at this point for some Q&A.
Thanks, Tully. That was awesome. I mean, I personally learned a lot, and the Pomodoro effect actually has helped me, especially when you're working remote. And I feel like a lot of people work remote now.
Yeah.
So we did have some questions in the chat. So one of the first ones was Jean, who said, you should treat yourself when you do like finish your tasks or complete something important. But then they asked, does this mean not get the treat if you didn't work hard?
That is a great question. That's so funny. I love that you asked that because especially like in this environment where you're typing it out and everything, because when I'm meeting one-on-one with students, I got that question all the time because I would recommend a lot of these same hacks, right? These are tips that are proven, they work. And I would get that question. They're like, so I was so excited about that trip I was going to go on. I shared it with my family. And then all of a sudden, and I guess I can turn this off now. So all of a sudden they go, now my family is so mad at me because I didn't actually reach the goal. Do I have to cancel this trip we're going to go on? And my answer is always the same. Like, you have to be realistic about it, right? So are you still motivated to get this done and you feel probably a little bit bad? Like, obviously you feel guilty, then go on your family trip and come back and finish it. And it still was effective. It still worked because now you're going to get this done because your family's going to be, talking to you about it. Now, I'd get I don't need to paint the picture for you, but I was going to say, like, 19-year-old kid, is at his mom and dad's basement, and he's like, oh, I still want to play video games tonight, even though I didn't do my work. Is that cool? I'm like, no, that's not cool. You're not allowed to go do that. You need to do the work. You told me your goal, get it done, then go reward yourself. So it's conditional. And I gave 2 extreme examples. But I do think maybe I'm kind of old school. I'm like that with my kids. I'm like, nope, there's consequences for your actions. You built a reward system. It waters it down if you don't stick to it. So stick to your guns. You set it up for a reason. I'd say personally, stick to it and go, all right, I didn't earn it this time, so I'm gonna go earn it tomorrow.
Right. Okay, so I like that a lot because I feel like, that always happens where it's like, okay, we have a lot to do, but also it's the weekend, you take your weekend off. So did you actually hit your goal? So that was very useful. And then Gina also had another question. It was about, like, I think when you were talking about the checklist, or at least like maybe having an agenda, is a checklist more like a visual aid?
Yeah, that's a great question. So so first off, I know that I'm a visual learner. So I literally, as I'm talking, I think I have checklists here that I'm writing out, and that's just how I work. So you can first off be aware of your learning styles, right? Are you
Right.
are you a visual learner? Are you auditory? If you're a kinesthetic learner, you probably are like me. You need to be actively listening and writing down as you're listening. So yes, you can do all sorts of different like checklists for yourself, but what I'm talking about is it's appealing to my crafty people out there. If you're crafty, get something. I've seen so many students send me pictures of things over the years, and maybe even Jessica has too. I know she's on. If she wants to share, she can hop in anytime. I'm not trying to put her on the spot, but I've seen pictures of people create these like beautiful artwork, and they're counting it down. They're counting down. I have 8 classes to go, Tully. I'm down to 5, and they have something visual in front of them that they can always look at, and they find that to be very motivating. So that's what I'm talking about, is actually the power of a countdown. Kind of like I said, when a company's doing a fundraiser and they got that thermostat, it's like, oh, you can see it getting so close. So yep.
Yeah.
I see you on the chat, Jessica. Vision boards, goal boards. Yeah. Vision boards is another thing that you can create even digitally. I have seen students there's like websites that do that stuff now too. And there's mobile apps where you can go create a visual board for something that you're trying to count down. And so I think that the power of it is just find something that you can look at that gives you that inspiration of reaching your goal.
Right. Amazing. Does anybody else have any questions for Tully? Feel free to take yourself off mute or just drop a question in the chat. And I mean, in the meantime, I wanted to drop in a tip that helps me, where it's like, let's say if I'm doing a task, or even just like let's say if I was taking a course online, I write in parentheses how long I think it's going to give me or it's going to take me. So let's say if it's like creating an agenda, it'll probably take me no more than 10 minutes, but you always leave 2-3 minutes of leeway there just in case you have to go to the bathroom, you take a phone call or anything like that. And that's a good way to stay on schedule. And that could be in line with the Pomodoro effect. So
Monica, you stole my thunder. You're actually setting my thunder up, so I appreciate that. I was going to ask, since I've had a chance to answer questions, does anybody have any other tips or tricks that they have found that's effective for them? I assume everybody that's on here has been affected one way or the other when it comes to an increased workload, whether it's schoolwork or work, going more online, where there's a lot of those distractions out there. Anybody else have any tips or tricks? Well, I appreciate everyone's attention today, and I hope I shared some things that are helpful. I did get done a little bit earlier because I had, thanks so much, James. Yeah. And that can be in all walks of life, right? Mentors, I think are important anywhere you go. Yeah, I had the extra 5 minutes set up for our speaker that I thought was just hilarious and a great example where you go, oh, I'm not alone. So I'm going to send that out. Can I put that in the chat, Monica?
Yeah, that'd be
Okay.
awesome.
So I'll put that in the chat, and then you can certainly use, the extra time that we have back, for that. And then, yeah, when it comes to any other questions about whether it's WGU, productivity hacks, whatever that might be in the future, I'm going to have my contact information on there as well.
Yeah, and I'll send out an email with this recording and anything else you want to include, Tully. That would be helpful.
Perfect. Well, I'll include that there.
Okay, awesome.
Typically, when we think of mentors, I've gotten a mentor in my field of specialty that I do for work. But how would I go about finding an accountability related mentor, productivity mentor, like somebody who encourages me to stick to my goals and to work a bit faster at achieving them?
Yeah, that's a great question. I've honestly thought, I've had actually students say that before. They're like, you should just create your own business, Tully, because what you do is applicable to everywhere you go. And I think that's one of the things that makes Western Governors University so unique as it is. It's very effective, and people do pay big money. There's corporate C-level executives who they hire these gurus of productivity to help them set these goals and be accountable. So I will just give you a very practical tip on that. And I hope I'm saying your name right. I'm saying Jean, not Jeannie. It might be Jeannie. Is it Jeannie?
Both are good, thank you.
Well, how do you usually introduce yourself?
Jean.
Jean. Okay. Well, believe me, Jean, my name's Tully. No one ever gets it right, so I gotta make sure that I take care of my names out there. My practical advice for you, Jean, would be, it doesn't need to be a professional accountability mentor or anything like that, but you can find people in your life that are around you that, by sharing your goals and sharing your why and sharing the schedule that I talked about, and just saying flat out, I've got to get this done. This is a priority this week. I have a huge work project, and I know that what's going to happen is I'm going to get busy. I have created a schedule, and this is going to help me get there, but I need help holding me accountable to that. And if you have someone in your life, whether it's a family member, a close friend, a confidant, somebody from work, and you share that with them, what happens most of the time when you do that is then they'll come back to you later and be like, wow, I loved that. Can you help me with this project? And all of a sudden you've created this natural, very organic accountability, and you're both going to be mentors in each other's lives. If you don't have someone like that, or it's hard to come up with who it would be off the top of your mind, there are a lot of groups like this at Tech Hub where I know there's a lot of networking that takes place. In our time at Tech Hub, South Florida, I've made connections with people out there who certainly could leverage that expertise. And I will personally throw myself out there as a volunteer if you need someone like that. If you can't find someone who's closer in your life to you, Gene, I can be that guy from afar who's just far enough away from you, or maybe I can help with something. If you ever want to share goals with me, we can connect and go through LinkedIn if that helps.
Thank you. Everyone in my life is a bit too nice, so thank you.
So I think that means you think I'm mean, but I will. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, you got to have that accountability from somebody who's like, here's my approach, Gene. I tell everyone I treat them like family, and I've treated my students like family, which means I love them and I want what's best for them. But it also means I'm not scared to have the tough conversation because I care about them. If I didn't care, I would just like, well, that guy's a slacker. I don't know if he's ever going to get it done. But it's like, no, I care about you. I want what's best for you. So, you know, you can ask that tough conversation like, hey, what happened? You said you wanted to get this done. Did your motivation change? Well, then you got to get it together, man. Get your act together. Like those are the conversations I would have with someone I cared about. And that's kind of the key, I think.
Awesome.
And I put the link to that video in YouTube. You'll be far more entertained by that speaker than you would be by me. It's hilarious. Watch the first 5 minutes. You'll know that you're not alone out there as you know, I think it's something we all need to be cognizant of and worried about in this environment where we work from home and there's all this free time. You can sit down and as soon as you get on that computer, man, you can get sucked into a lot of distractions. So watch that, take a look at it, and I hope it's enjoyable. It's just designed to put a smile on your face, and I hope I can do that with the extra time we have today.
Well, thank you, Tully. This was great. We definitely have to have you. We'll have you back for a round 2, maybe later this year as we continue to do these workshops. So
awesome. I'm happy to do it and looking forward to participating and watching some other events coming up. Thank you everyone for joining today. I really appreciate you.
thanks, Tully. Thanks, everybody. Have an amazing day and a weekend. Bye, everybody.